What's up, guys? This is Trev and Tony.
Yep.
Um, Talking about the Amazing Spider-Man 2. We're gonna sit here and review this bad boy, this comic book film, whatever. You know how it goes. All right, basically, you're I don't know. Like you said, you're pretty much a Spidey fan yourself, right?
Yeah.
Pretty big on it. Well, okay. Basically, what we're gonna do is review this and probably probably do like a good little I don't know how long it'll take. Few-minute review, just with no spoilers, and then later on going to open up spoilers and get into more details. So if you don't want anything spoiled, don't watch this entire thing. I'll warn you again when it comes to that. But until then, you've been warned. All right. But for right now, this is a no spoiler review. So, Tony, what was your thoughts on this movie?
Well,
There's a
hands
lot to
down,
go
obviously. Huh?
There's a lot to go into about it, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to keep this as cleanly as possible. Basically, of course, to me, it was better than the first one. I mean, the first one was good and all. You had your villain and stuff, but with this one, I don't know. To me, it felt more. I don't know. It felt like deeper and like darker more than like kind of like it had a darker tone to it and stuff like that. And it kind of also had an emotional kind of like tone to it as well. With Gwen and Peter and stuff like that and their relationship.
Yeah.
And what I liked about the movie the most though was as I said in my review, that there wasn't, to me, I think everything was balanced out perfectly, and it was fine. Like unlike the third one, which Sam Raimi's trilogy, like it was like all squished in together and all squished into one. But this, it was like balanced out. You had your main villain, being Electro and stuff like that. And then you had your little, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm gonna say here? I want to use you had your little, I don't know what word to use, but let's see. Eh, I don't want to. Come on, give me something here. I'm trying to figure out this is where
Wish I could help
I
you.
get a brain freeze. Huh?
Wish I could help you. I'm trying to know.
I'm just trying to. Let's see. I guess I'll just say they gave you a little bit of a treat. I don't know. I'll just go with it. Just go with it.
like
So
a
like with the other two villains and stuff, but they weren't. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that I'm trying to keep this as cleanly as possible. I might just end up spoiling it right now. Blow my cover.
Well, just say what you're gonna say for later. Uh,
Yeah.
all right, so I'm gonna try my best, to think of because there's so much to say about this movie, and that's for sure thing. I'm a big Spidey fan, and this today was my second screening for the film, and I feel like I have a bigger opinion on it, and I personally thought it was worth seeing at least a couple times, so I did. And there's one thing that I said, especially after walking out the first time, was this is a true Spider-Man movie. You get we don't even want to talk about like how trashy the third Raimi one was.
Yeah.
But this one just was a breath of fresh air from that. Totally different take. I really like the love story part. The villains, there was a couple issues I had with the villain stuff, but my favorite storyline of the whole thing was Harry Osborn. I just really enjoy, I don't know, just the thing with him and his dad and all this stuff. Just it really, I don't know, it just gave more depth to it just had a lot more going for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, what do you call it? Yeah, Green Goblin or Harry Osborn, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, I gotta give it to Dane DeHaan's. He did a great job portraying the character and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I like James Franco, but to me, James Franco is more of like the comedy type of person, like
He's
when it comes to
definitely
that kind of
comedy.
stuff. But Dane DeHaan did a great job as Harry Osborn and stuff. Like he was really like there was times when he was really creepy and stuff.
I know.
If it was like a little kid watching it, I'm pretty sure the little kid would get frightened or something just by that his look in his eyes and stuff. You could tell
I know.
it was he's being serious and Jamie Foxx did a great job as Electro.
He's a creepy guy all around. Like
Yeah,
even on Harry
yeah.
Osborn, it's just like when he's standing at the top of the stairway and all that, they're talking. I'm just like, this guy just like he really like you. I don't know. You feel like he's got something to hide. Like I don't know, but let me see. I'm trying to pick out stuff here. Um, the suit, man, freaking Spider-Man suit this time. I mean, of course, I knew what it was going to look like before I saw it, but on
Yeah.
screen, it was even the best thing ever. Like, I liked the little details they added in this movie.
Yeah.
His suit flapping in the wind, that stuff like that. There's little things I noticed.
Yeah, much different from
First,
the first
like
the
after they
first
show
one.
the whole
It was
origin
just
thing
before
of the
was different, and
dad.
I hope in the third one actually the suit gets a little bit of a change to it. I probably it will, but yeah, I like the new suit design.
Yeah, and but what I was gonna
Um,
say is like the web
yeah,
swinging scene at the beginning of the movie.
yeah,
That was just like a classic Spider-Man thing. He's just like, okay, he's like listening to the police radio, and he's just like, all right, I'm gonna save the day, and I freaking
hmm
love that.
yeah,
I just like nerd moment, but
yeah, yeah,
late for his graduation,
yep,
so
yep.
you gotta love it. And Andrew Garfield, this to me was a more both Gwen and Peter seem a bit older in this than they did in the first one. And I know like their ages in real life are different, but I mean Andrew Garfield himself is like 32 or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's not really a difference, but they really seem older and more
Mm.
mature, and they're graduating from high school, and it's just I don't know. It's just like I really I like how it I like the beginning a lot. Like it just gave a just what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, and also with Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, to me, I
They had
mean,
really good
first
chemistry.
one, yeah, and the first one, I mean, they did a great job, like, but this one to me, I just feel like they honestly, what do you call it? They nailed their acting down, just hands down and stuff. Like they just like you could tell they were, you could tell it was for real when at some of the scenes you could tell they were being for real. It just felt like like I don't know. Just sometimes it felt like almost you were in the movie or something like that. I just had that
I
feeling. Maybe
know.
that's just me, but it was like
Yeah, you felt
know,
everything.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really did.
So that's something I liked about it too. It was a bit emotional and it was like dark and stuff.
It
Like the
makes
first
you
one was
like it may when
I
you're
don't to
sitting
me the
there.
first one wasn't as dark, but this one they added that little a bit of a dark element to the film.
Yeah, their chemistry was really good. Like I said, and you felt that, and in a way, kind of like I don't know, I don't know, you could sit there and think about, movies have a way of like, you relate to your own life sometimes. Some movies just
True.
don't. You just don't sit there and think, but then like you emotions pour out, and you're just like crap, like you start thinking about things,
Yeah.
and that's like I love sitting in the theater and experiencing that, just from watching
Yeah.
a Spider-Man movie. So
hmm
but and it's great. Like I love the chemistry. One of the best like relationship chemistries of a superhero film I think ever. Like I honestly like I you could call it they're cute together or whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
in real life, like
Yeah.
if they were a couple or whatever. So it all makes sense,
Well,
and
they're really close in real life as well. So
yeah.
both of them. So.
So yeah, just similar to the Black Widow and Captain America thing. They've been
hmm
friends forever
Yep,
too, so
that's
it's
true.
similar. So yeah, uh, I don't know. There's a lot of good sides we could cover, but let's go ahead on the negatives. What are some of the negatives you found in the?
Negatives. Huh. Yeah, let's see actually, because
Did
let's
it
see. I
feel
didn't
a
really
little
think.
like
What do you call it?
jumbled
I
in the middle a
paid
little bit?
attention and stuff like that, and I was doing I was doing some of like studying of it and stuff like that. Okay, the one here's actually. I will say it was balanced out and stuff as a as a whole and everything, but there were some things that okay, here's some of the things that I'm gonna bicker about and just and all this, but I like here's one thing about it was when they were focusing on Gwen and Peter and all this and their whole emotional roller coaster relationship they got going on and stuff, like, and then it cuts over to like what is it, Max and stuff, I mean Max
Max
Dillon
Dillon,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. It just seems like it was transitioning way too much and stuff. Like they should be focusing on one thing or the other. Like it just felt like to me it just felt like it was transitioning like all over the place and stuff like that. And I don't know, like it was kind of like let's just finish this one scene and then we can go to the next thing, like the next thing that's going to happen in the movie. It just felt like they were going all over the place to me. That's just me though.
Yeah. What's her name? Sally Field. Like I loved her even more as Aunt May.
Mm.
Like I don't know. It just like Peter and her Andrew Garfield and her chemistry was good too. Like, like you said, like everything that was in it, you believed, you know. But like you,
Yeah,
but yeah. Anyway, yeah, negatives. I forgot. Okay,
yeah. Well,
basically,
negatives.
yeah, the transitioning thing. I just, it had like a lot of people were like complaining that maybe like there'd be too many villains in this, and like that's not even really the problem. It's just like covering all the story. I mean, I do know that and it's a long movie too. It's like 2.5 hours, so they
Well,
had to
every
fit a
Marvel movie's
lot.
like that.
Had to fit a lot into it, you know.
Yeah.
And I get it, but like, yeah, you know, like they could have just like kind of smoothed out some of the editing,
Mm.
like keep on one story. But you know, I don't know. That wasn't like a huge problem for me. One of my issues was just like it. I mean, near the middle is when that did that the most, and I feel like it just had so much like you had to keep up with, like it just like it felt like it was a movie at times just for the next movie. Like it's
Yeah.
building up to the third one basically and onward. And yeah, I mean it's just I don't know. That's one of my issues. I most of this is probably not gonna make sense coming out of my mouth, but I know like what
Well,
I'm.
well, another thing that comes to mind actually is well, this may come as a spoiler, but you know, whatever. Is that what do you call it? Norman Osborn really was not in the film that much. I know they wanted to focus as Harry, on Harry and stuff, but it just like I think that the guy that played, I think it was Chris Cooper. I could be wrong, but he could, I don't know. I'm just saying. I know they were wanted to maybe focus on Harry, and stuff like that, and. But I just feel like maybe Norman Osborn and stuff that could have maybe had a bigger role in the movie and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe it would have been something worth seeing and stuff like that. But I kind of get it though. Like it's
They did have pieces of him, like the video that he's watching of his dad and all that. And I
true.
actually really enjoyed like the
I did too,
Richard
but
Parker and Norman Osborn on the same like screen or whatever, and like it just the whole not origin of his dad, but background story of his dad and all that was pretty cool. And they're
yeah,
both,
I get what
and it's
I
pretty
get
neat. Like it's both their dads. I
working
like
together.
connected that this time. Like they're childhood friends and both of their dads now, but yeah, like I don't know, like there's just like a few negatives and a lot more positives for me, but I'm just really trying to dig them out. I mean, when it's live, I feel under pressure, so it's like I gotta find it.
I don't. I
Uh,
just go with it. That's just used to.
yeah, like what do you call it? I don't know, like what would what I don't know. Think of something, 'cause I don't know.
What? What? What are you trying to get at? What?
Think of something to talk about for it.
Um. Okay. Well.
Villains. Okay, let's freaking Max Dillon. I freaking loved Jamie Foxx,
Yeah.
even though like it just he was funny as crap too, and that was one thing.
Well, that's
But
what I like about the movie.
there's
It
some
had
stuff
its like
there's some stuff
funny
about
moments.
him that I'll save for the opening. But yeah. Let me see what else.
Well, I get what you're saying. Yeah, his character was funny. I like that. Like Jamie Foxx, Max
Yeah,
Dillon.
like he felt like a very classic comic booky
Yeah,
fan of Spider-Man guy. He's just like he's
stalker. So,
he's got his pictures all over his walls. But yeah, let me see.
um, um, and Dane DeHaan as Norman, Harry Osborn, aka Green Goblin. I think he nailed that, role down pat.
Yeah, definitely. Um, it just it's crazy. Let's see. Well, we covered negatives, covered positives. I think, okay, the action in this film, like, every single bit of like anything was like, what, literally amazing.
Yeah,
Like, I loved all the freaking the CGI. I didn't. There wasn't hardly anything that I
but
felt
good
was
special
off.
effects.
Yeah, really good special effects. Yeah, every bit of it. One of the negatives though, I feel like, and I don't know why I really feel like this, but this is not even necessarily a spoiler because even from the trailers you can tell that Electro and Spider-Man fight twice, but yeah, the second battle I feel could have been longer. I don't know, it just felt kind of rushed, but Anyway, let's see what
Well,
else.
maybe
And
that's
like,
just
well,
my.
the
Maybe
action,
that's
like,
just.
yeah, just the web swinging, all of it. They had slow motion moments in there that were just like, like I feel like that's actually another negative. I feel like they used slow mo way too much in the film. I think it was used like when it was used, it was great, but like near the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, we get it. Like
Yeah.
it's like you gotta see Spidey in action because he's fast. He's just like
Yeah, and
everything he
also
does is fast.
here, well, this isn't a negative or anything. This is like one of the pet peeves I liked about like one of my pet peeves and stuff is like how they Spidey had his little little jokes like it was funny too. Like this to me felt like I was in like reading a comic book. When
I
they had the
know,
comedy
dude.
into
Like
it,
I
like the
know
little
that's
jokes. But the scene where I'll just say it, okay, whatever. But it wasn't it wasn't in the trailer. I'm pretty sure people have seen pictures where he uses the fire hose and stuff on the water hose on
yeah.
Electro. It's
That
just
was
so funny,
perfect. He had
He
the
was looking
hat
a little,
on. He went
yeah,
out
the
of his
hat.
way to put the hat on his freaking mask. I
Yeah,
was like, really now?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't know, like Mr. Criminal, knock knock on the beginning and all that. I freaking love it all, man. Like
yeah,
and walking the kid home, that kind of thing. Like it's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
yeah,
I loved it. It really felt like more of a Spider-Man movie than any of them.
yeah. And also, I like how they also went back to his roots. It's been a while since we've seen it though, actually, where they use his superhuman strength. Where he lifts up the car and stuff. I like how they
Yeah,
went back to that kind of thing.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, and he could like fall from really far, like length, and not really get hurt. It's also, it's all in his powers.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So okay, I think that wraps up the non-spoiler part of this. But what would you rate it?
Okay. Well, I normally rate my stuff out of a 10, and wow, what did I even give this in my? I forgot what I even gave this in my review, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Sweet. Um, well, here's the thing. I told Tony before we went live that honestly, as a film, as a movie in itself, like you put any future Spider-Man movies or the first one aside, as a movie itself, I'm going to give it its own rating, and that's an 8 out of 10, which is really good. But because it did have some messes like the transitioning and stuff, like keeping up with storylines, some stuff could have been used more and then less, stuff like that. But as a Spidey film and knowing that there's more to come, I give it a 9 because it's just like in the Amazing Spider-Man
Trilogy.
whatever we're gonna freaking four of them or whatever, it's gonna be like a really big part of it is the second one, and it definitely just feels like this movie is for like, and maybe they're all gonna feel like that. This one is like to boost the next one and then the next one like that.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree with those ratings. I'd probably
like
do this. That's the same for me as well, those ratings. So yeah, I forgot all
But
about that.
but as a film as a whole, it's an 8 out of 10, and that's just 1 point lower. That I mean, go see it. You're
Judge
gonna
it for yourself.
you're gonna enjoy yourself. If you're a big Spidey fan, like do not go without seeing it on the big screen. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna be nerding it up. You're gonna
Yep.
be just like freaking out in your seat. But yeah. So okay, as of right now, we're gonna open up the spoiler conversation of it. I mean, we have one viewer, so who cares if I even say this? But spoiler conversation, which means totally everything spoiler talk, so we can get into more detail, which is gonna be a lot of fun. But if you don't want to be a part of that, like, just click off the
That
video
one
now.
viewer will disappear. So
Go find something else on YouTube to watch, unless you do, or if you have seen the movie and you want to hear what we have to say about it. All right, so
yep.
this is one more time. This is spoiler talk. If you don't want it spoiled for you, get out.
The one viewer just disappears. Bye.
Bye.
Ah.
All right, so and we got a viewer, really? Like, all right, so spoiler conversation. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna try to think of one. Okay, I'm gonna try to think of one thing. I had something. I had it all in my brain before we came on, but like, I'll just wait until.
Here, I'll just start it
Yeah,
off.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So Okay, so the beginning, I like the beginning. It was like a flashback, something, of Richard Parker and stuff and his wife and like, and all this, and they're trying to hide the secret. They're trying to hide the Oscorp. Like they have it all in the little bit of what is it? What's the what is it? What is it? What is that thing you plug in your computer?
Uh,
Wow, used to use it all the time. I feel like an idiot now. Um, Come on.
Flash drive.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Damn it. Flash drive. There we go. Okay, yeah. So, he had all of the Oscorp stuff and all of, just personal files and stuff, regarding to Oscorp and just, and his work, his research on that. I kind of like that, how they went with a flashback, like, I believe that's how the movie started off, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
it was what happened, like what we didn't see in the Amazing Spider-Man 1. That's what I really
Yeah.
liked about it. They opened up to okay, since it is spoiler talk, here we go. Richard and his wife's death. It
Yeah.
basically like shows how they died, and I honestly never knew. Like you heard about it in the Amazing Spider-Man 1 that it was a plane crash, but they never showed it, and them actually showing it, the dude takes over the plane. I guess it was sort of a plan to kill them.
Hijack
And,
or something,
it
yeah.
was crazy cool because like even Richard freaking has some like skills. He's like beating up the
Yeah.
dude. His wife
Yeah,
gets
he has a
shot or
little
whatever.
background.
That was actually
Yeah.
kind of emotional. I got torn up a little. I didn't like cry, but I got kind of like it tugged at me a little bit. Like it was a
Come
little
on.
sad.
Come on, Travis. If
It
you
was
cry,
it
just
was
put it
sad. It
out
was
there.
sad. I'll tell you what I cried about. But anyway, it was sad.
It was, and I like how they just didn't forget about Richard Parker. We were mentioning him and stuff. I know they mentioned him in the first one, but I like how in the second one he was somewhat still alive. Like, well, not still alive, but he was still, mentioned in the film here and there.
Exactly. He's trying to like freaking download that crap like while
Yeah.
the plane's going down, and then like he does, and just like lets the computer go or whatever.
Yeah.
And just like and then they crash, which was really it was a nice opening to Spider-Man in present day.
His
Um,
wife was gonna die anyway, though, because she got shot.
yeah, and it started out,
Sadly.
with the showing the spider, and I was wondering why it was shaking, and I was like, oh, because he's like falling, and I was like, that's weird,
Yeah.
but I freaking love that scene. It's like, um, I just Spider-Man stuff. He's like, let's get to work, I
Yeah.
just I'm about to save the day,
Yep.
and it just so happened to be Paul Giamatti, I'll tell you, trying to
Alexius or something. I can't. I don't.
yeah,
I Russian. What a
aka
Russian name.
Rhino before
Yeah.
he's Rhino. But yeah, I freaking love Peter's charm in this. Like I just every bit, any comedy thrown in it, I actually was like chuckling or laughing hard at. He's like on
Yeah.
the like stuck on the front of the car and he gets a call from Gwen. And another thing about that is the Spider-Man theme ringtone throughout the movie. Anytime he
Oh.
got a call, he was like
Yeah.
whistling it and crap. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Stan Lee's cameo, like I think one of
Oh.
the best.
Oh. Yep.
One of the best because it actually blends with the same character he played in the first one. He's the janitor, so he's like at the graduation. I didn't think of that until after I saw it the first time. I was like, I think they were trying to make him the same character, like in that, but who knows?
That reminds me. Let me just throw out this. This is non-related to this movie though, but I did like the cameo of Stanley in Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that. Just remembered.
but yeah,
Okay, hold on. I got one for you. The scene where, okay, so when he's fighting, Alexius or whatever his name is, Paul Giamatti, and stuff, before he becomes Rhino, like, well, this comes from the trailer, of course, but the scene, where he's fighting him and stuff, and like he's getting all those little glass, bottles of serum or whatever, and
yeah,
stuff like that, and then this it's so funny. Here's the comedy part comes in where he, just like, he spins the webs and stuff, and he like ties them down, and then like pulls down his pants.
yeah. I'll take that, and he knocks the gun out of his hand, and then like I don't even know how, like, because he's Spider-Man, he does things really fast, and he's um, it just that's a part of his superpower or whatever. You don't really see it coming or whatever, and then like I don't even remember like. I don't know. He knocked the gun in the air, and then it eventually
Yep.
came back. I don't know. Like I didn't get that part.
Oh, it hits him on the head. The gun flies up in there, and then it lands on the top of his bald head.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love that. And a lot of people are like complaining about Lexus or whatever his name is. His character was annoying. I think he fits Rhino perfectly because any like Spider-Man video game or whatever I've played, he's like that's how he talks. It's like, oh,
He's Russian,
Spider, you know, he's like he's a classic Spider-Man villain. I
and
mean,
he's Russian, so that's part of his
yeah,
thing.
and I
So
love that. I don't know. They could have picked anybody to be him, though. I mean, honestly, like Paul Giamatti didn't like add anything or take away. I mean, anybody could have just like I don't know. But I
I
guess
guess it's cool to just say, hey, for Paul Giamatti's sake, hey, I was part of the Spider-Man franchise.
yeah.
So
Let me see. Yeah, in that scene where he's trying to collect all those things, he had this like these spider moments where he's like hanging from the roof of the truck or whatever, trying to get it from
mm,
his way. I just love that.
yeah.
Saves the bus and all that, and then barely makes it to his graduation. Um, okay, me sleep. Okay, there's so much in this movie to talk about.
There is. Let me go.
Tease,
Go
tease.
ahead.
Did you catch Felicia Hardy?
Yes. Who didn't? As soon as I heard she was cast, I was like, okay, Black Cat.
I was
But
like, boom! Like I didn't know about that until I saw the movie. Until Harry's like, calling her name or whatever, or at the table, or is like, what's your name or whatever. Felicia. I was like, Black Cat, and then like there's Black Cat. I mean, she's just like that's who she's gonna be. Like the hairstyle and everything. I was just
yep.
like, that's her. I mean, except I don't know if they're gonna like make it where she dyes her hair white for that or puts like a wig on, but I don't know. But either way, she's just what better way to like continue like I don't know like add Black Cat into the stories that she originally worked for Oscorp. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, let me see what else. There's some teases, of course. The Venom chamber or whatever. It's like I didn't catch it in the movie, but I know it's in there. It's like,
Okay, here, let me just go ahead and throw this out there. This to me was like the best. Well, there was a lot of great scenes in this movie. I mean, the fight scene with Electro and stuff like that. I enjoyed that one. The second one, I get where you're coming from. Like, it was a bit short, but I guess because they were, they already had the first fight scene and stuff, and the movie was almost, getting ready to end and stuff. But there was a lot of great scenes. But the one scene that I don't know, like I just was like, this is a great way to end this movie. Is just where after Peter, defeats, Harry, being a Green Goblin, he defeats Goblin and stuff like this, and then bam, we have Harry's in Ravencroft prison and stuff, Ravencroft prison and stuff like that. And the man in the shadows walks up to him, he enters his room and stuff, and like they start talking about the team and stuff, and he's like 6, he said something like 6 or whatever.
he said he wants to keep it small. That's all he said.
Yeah, and then they talk about it, and bam, and then that's the scene where the man in the shadows, he walks by the equipment.
By Doc Ock claws, which by the way, if you notice, the claws like followed him, like they were looking at him, like as he walked by.
Vulture's wings.
Like Vulture's wings. And by the way, speaking of Vulture, do we know even who Vulture is? Because honestly, I think it's the I don't know. I honestly don't know my Spider-Man stuff right now, but Vulture. I don't know what his name is, but the guy that betrayed Harry kind of reminds me of a Vulture. He's just like the bald head and the nose and all that. I don't know.
I think he died though, but
I honestly think that that's him. Like, but I'm not sure. Like that was another tease.
Didn't he die? I think he died though, didn't he?
No, he escaped the.
Oh, that's right. He went through the chamber.
He while Harry was turning into the Goblin, he just bailed. That's the last time he.
But how would that work though? When he turned on Harry and all of a sudden he's gonna be in the team now? I don't know, but
I don't know. Like I don't know, but like maybe they just like kind of team up. But
for those common enemy, yeah, Spider-Man. But
like,
then
he betrays Harry, and then I don't know, maybe he goes and he's like, I don't know, isn't Vulture kind of just like some homeless dude? I don't know. And I don't know. They may not do that, but I kind of noticed that. It's like he looks like he'd be a Vulture. But
he does though. He's old and stuff. Yeah, I get what you're saying. He has the bald head. I get what you're saying. True.
But anyway, yeah, like okay, Felicia, Vulture, like the possibility of Vulture. What else?
So he walks by. Was it the Man in Shadows? He walks by. You got Doc Ock's tentacles, the Vulture's wings, and then Rhino's suit. And then they're talking about it. And then they're saying that Alexius or whatever is like the first. He's the first candidate or whatever. He wants to go. So they break him out of. They break him out of prison or whatever.
Get your first taste of the Sinister Six with Rhino. Like, you know, like I was just imagining like, oh man, like a full battle with him, like in the next movie is gonna be sick or whatever, and they closed the movie with them starting to fight, which was a nice touch. I love it. I love that they cut it off there. I mean, a lot of people were probably like, what? But I kind of saw that coming. Like as soon as
I
he's
did
going to
too.
swing that around, I was like, this is going black, isn't it? This is the end.
Yeah, yep. And then I know people are complaining though about how Goblin and Rhino weren't they didn't get that much time, and that's the thing though. I mean,
That's the
Electro was
point.
your main villain. They wanted to focus on Electro, which was perfect. You know, they did a great job of doing that. And also with Rhino and Goblin, you're gonna get a big you're gonna get a taste of them. You know, you're gonna get to see what they're made of if you didn't already see what they're made of in the Sinister Six. So that's why they didn't want to. And they didn't want to be like 3 and stuff like that and stuff. So that's why they didn't have, big roles in the movie, for their characters.
That's one thing that I should have thrown in, honestly. But I guess this still can pertain to spoilers for how, like I don't know, spoiling, like telling how much of a villain's in a movie is kind of spoiling it. So I guess this still pertains to this. But Electro, man, like the first battle is really cool. I think that was my favorite of them. Like he's
Mm.
uh that is a really extended scene. I didn't expect it to be that long. He's like looking at himself on Times Square on all the screens or whatever. And you honestly, I felt bad for Max. I really did. Like
Yeah,
he's
I
just
did too. I did too.
he's wanting to be freaking
Like
just
Spider-Man.
more than what he lives a pathetic life.
He wants to be noticed.
He wants to be noticed, yeah, and he's like being noticed, and like just like not even Spider-Man. It wasn't even Spider-Man's fault that they turned all the cameras onto him, and then he like gets really angry, which was really cool because you could feel his anger. You really can, like,
Yeah.
even though like you don't, it's unfair to Spidey, but you felt his anger, and I don't know, like I was attached to Max Dillon from the start, and
Yeah.
with his, and there's just small details in there I freaking loved. I loved that his voice was really rumbly or whatever because of the electricity running through or whatever. I don't,
Yeah.
it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
He looked innocent too in his face. You could tell he looked innocent the first time when he came out there. Like he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to be noticed and stuff. But he was like this is Spider. He don't want to fight Spider-Man. Like to him, he
he
still
looked at him
considers
as a freak,
Spider-Man
so he kept
a
shooting
friend
him.
and like that. A friend and stuff. And because remember, he's like you're my ear, eyes and ears and stuff. And then he remembered that. So
Yeah,
he didn't
I
look
love that.
innocent. So like
Forget mine.
he looked.
It's Max, right?
He was scared actually, petrified.
Yeah.
Because he's like what happened to me? Look at me now.
Yeah, I love that scene. It's like, I don't know what's going on with me, man. He's like, all right, I know. I see that you don't want to hurt anybody either. Like, and then just like
Don't shoot.
because
Don't
of
shoot. They shot.
like the idiot cops and stuff, they mess it all up for Spidey over there. And you got and there was even a moment where the cop was getting like trapped by Electro. Like he was behind his car or something. He's like, does anybody got a sight on Spider-Man? Stuff like that is like a great moment because it's just like they just know that Spidey's the only one that can stop him right now. The slow motion scene of him like webbing the car and then saving everybody on the stairs or whatever before they can touch the electricity. That was cool. Let me see. There's just so much stuff.
Let's see. Actually, I was digging how what do you call it, Electro. Well, we've seen this in the trailer when Spidey and him are having the second fight scene or whatever, where Electro's going through like the power circuits or whatever. I like that scene where he just like blends in with it all and stuff. Like he's not like you can't really see him anymore. He's because
he evaporates and then he can reappear or whatever. That was one thing I was going to talk about. That I think what I was trying to say earlier, but I got sidetracked. Electro wasn't. Honestly, this is one of the negatives. He's supposed to be the main villain of the movie, but he wasn't in it enough. And I do, like that's the thing though. Like I felt like people complaining that Goblin and Rhino weren't in it enough. Honestly, I felt like just the main villain himself wasn't because he was held in that like place or whatever. I mean, he had his scene with that doctor guy or whatever, where he's like,
but he wasn't doing much. He was just
he was threatening, which was a really cool scene. He's like, don't you know I'm Electro?
Yeah, and when cool. Goblin breaks him out, Harry breaks him out. That was awesome too. Like then they're like, okay, best quote in the movie to me. Let's catch a spider.
Yeah.
Let's go catch a spider. I like that, and like,
I
and
liked that in the
the
trailers too. That quote got me excited for the movie. Period. I was just like, oh snap.
and you know something else is the trailer lives up to it though. Enemies will unite. Harry and Max, Harry, Goblin and Electro united for one common purpose. They used to be friends. Well, I wouldn't really consider Max Dillon being friends with Spider-Man. But whatever. Let's just go with it. Is that they were once friends with Spider-Man, Peter Parker or whatever, and then bam, they somewhat see and that he turned on him, which he really didn't, and then bam, they unite for one common enemy, and that's Peter and stuff,
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's under a lot of pressure
Yep.
in this movie. One thing we haven't talked about, but the whole backstory of Harry is he's trying to get his blood, but Peter doesn't know what it would do to him, and he doesn't know he's Spider-Man or whatever. Which, by the way, the part where he like finds out he is was great. Like
Yeah.
as soon as he like says Peter or whatever, I just like the first time I saw it and today, I just like was like, this is the point. I mean, it's sadly nearing the end of the movie by then, but it's like the point where I enjoyed it the most.
Oh, and
Like,
Goblin's laugh. Whew.
yeah, the
He sold it.
Goblin himself on screen as soon as Electro dies, yes,
He sadly
he gets evaporated
evaporates into
because
thin
of
air like nothing.
freaking Gwen and Spidey working together.
And here comes Goblin. He sold the laugh. I love how they added the laugh and, like you said, the pumpkin bomb.
Yeah, they added one pumpkin bomb, and that just like gave me a big like, oh, I can't wait till he like throws like 10 of them at once, like in
The
the next
glider,
one.
the glider, the
The
suit.
glider's so sick. He's like, he looks good on it. Freaking flying around in the clock tower in that small
That
amount
was
of
awesome. The fight
space or
scene.
whatever was just like that whole fight right there like made the movie for me. That's the reason it even has like 1 point up is because of that part. Like it's like because I mean in the comics or whatever, Goblin's like technically the Spidey's worst enemy or whatever. You
Biggest
got
villain,
You
yeah.
got worst, you got Venom, but Goblin will always be like the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
Number
But
one, and just that was an amazing Spider-Man moment for me. I was just
and I thank you. I want to give a big thank you though to Mark Webb though, because honestly, finally somebody they got it down pat. This is how Goblin's supposed to be. Well, he's well, not necessarily, but I mean, because in the comics it was a guy in a mask and stuff and all that, in a suit and stuff. But what I liked about it is finally they went a different route, because there actually in the comics, some of the newer ones, there's like a mutated Goblin, and that's what this somewhat was. Like
yeah, it's a
it's a birth
disease and
defect
it's
or
the
something like that, and the
Osborn
family of
curse.
the Osborns, like Harry, well, Norman had it. He ended up dying from it, and then Harry had it and stuff like that. It was transforming him into like a goblin-like creature, and that's what I liked about it. Finally, it's something different. It's not just
Yeah, he
somebody in a
like
metal
Norman
suit, which was
holds
dumb,
Harry's
and it's
hand or whatever, and he has the claws. I was just like, oh man, like that is like he looked
in
even
the ears. His
even
ears are getting
Norman
bigger,
looked
like
really cool. Even Norman looked really cool like
yeah,
that. Um,
yeah.
freaking
I give it to Dane DeHaan though.
Well, since we're nearing that,
Goblin.
nearing that part of it, it's going around Goblin, Norman, all that thing, all that stuff. Oh man, Gwen's
The
death.
death.
Oh my
Yep.
god, dude!
It
Like
was
one
only a
of
matter
the
of time.
best. I think one of the best deaths in a comic book film movie. It's one of my. It's got to be up there in my top three because they did not cliche it big time. They didn't have her
Mm.
dying in his arms or whatever. They had her just die, and
And
it
then
was like
he held her
and
in
it
his
was
arms
by
after
like
she
a hair of him saving her because once he knocks out Goblin or whatever, the whole
the
freaking
web
clock tower starts falling.
turning. Yeah.
She's falling, which was just an emotional. That slow motion scene like was breathtaking. I loved it. He's like he shoots his last
Web.
web to try to save her or whatever. It was in the shape of a hand. I loved that like little detail, like when it opened up or whatever.
And then she broke her back.
And yeah, like, and it barely goes like through all the gears falling, which I was like, that is like Peter's just timing that perfectly, and but it attaches to her chest before, and then just bam, like she's already, and it was so barely, like he almost had her, and like him crying, I freaking believed all that.
Yeah, I
You know,
know.
like it was
He
like
sold the
I
acting.
when I saw it today, I was just like when I just sit and think about it too much, I wanted to cry. I was like, it's just like because most of the movie was their love story, and I love that. That's another Spider-Man like classic thing is the girl or whatever, and
Yeah.
writing I love you and Web on the bridge, stuff like that,
Oh,
really great stuff.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
whatever, and that's the day she dies, and it's just like
That's crazy.
really freaking emotional. I honestly didn't think that they would, because I know that her dad died in the first one, and I was
Mm.
thinking like, and I heard the rumors that Gwen was gonna die in this, and I was like, I don't feel like they've like established her character enough, and then in this one they did. They successfully like gave you enough of Gwen before she dies. I loved it.
But
Um,
now the talk is now, but let me just throw
but
this in there that basically there is talk of bringing Shailene Woodley back into being Mary Jane and stuff like that, and the question is though is Peter ready to is he ready to have another girl, is he fully in his mind, is he over it, like and no, I don't think he is, but it'll take some time, but I think after a while he'll start to get the feels for Mary
yeah,
Jane, and that'll
that
be
that was
that.
great. Like watching her speech online graduation built him up to and he thought
Return to
about it
Peter.
and he returned to be Spider-Man because he was not Spider-Man for 5 more months
Yeah,
after her death. And what really gets me excited for the next movie also is that using her death as like a motivation thing against
mm,
Goblin, I think will be like probably their like fight and whatever movie they like let him fight Goblin again. I think it'll be pretty emotional. I think he'll be really angry.
Goblin
Um,
right now is locked away though, but he'll
yeah, I
probably
know, but whenever they do fight, it's gonna
yeah.
be like great. Let me see. There's like one more thing I want to say about that. Oh yeah, and the question is also, and I have some predictions here. I think whenever he does meet Mary Jane and he starts to love her or whatever, because she is a classic Spider-Man comic
Definitely,
book
hands
girl or
down.
whatever. I think honestly, like to keep her safe, because if you put all the pieces together, if Gwen didn't know that he was Spider-Man, she wouldn't have went and tried to help, and she wouldn't have died.
That's true.
So
You
that
gotta
means that he's not. He's gonna keep it from Mary Jane, and I like that.
yeah.
I'm gonna like the whole like him having to like be Peter real quick before like she comes into the door or something like that, kind of like Aunt May or
With
whatever.
his hand, yeah, yeah.
Instead of just like it being whatever and
I
um,
like that though. That's a good idea because I don't want them to go like buy like the original series or whatever, like the original Sam Raimi's where Mary Jane knew who he was and stuff. I want them to go a different route and like something different. Like not every one of
and it
Peter's
pertains to the story, like
know
to keep her
who he
safe.
is,
He's
and
gonna
that's how he'll keep them safe. Is who they don't know who he is. They just know
and it'll
him
take
as
some
Peter.
time for audiences to get attached to Mary Jane because we're all attached to Gwen. I mean, like you
Yeah.
really like feel her loss. It's it's a great emotional movie. Like seeing the seasons change and he's at the grave or whatever, and it's just sad stuff. And it's like 5 months go by of not being Spider-Man, and then Rhino breaks out of freaking prison thanks to the
Man in
behind
the
the scenes
Shadows.
Sinister Six.
Yep.
And yeah, like that. I love Rhino. Like
One
he's
thing I like about Rhino, let me point out before I lose my train of thought, is I like how even though it wasn't very long, I love how they use it like they go by the comics and stuff, and how he runs on all four like a rhino would.
exactly like
That
they
was
didn't
awesome.
they didn't do they didn't just make him like a really tall dude, muscular dude in a suit that's really dumb. They made him like a big mech suit, but they still kept like, where he could open up and see his face, and it's just like
Yeah, and
classic,
the machine guns on his
And
shoulders.
yeah, it's all just all awesome stuff. Like way to go to everybody that designed all the villain stuff. Like every single villain in this was like like there wasn't even one thing about them that I like about the villains themselves like that I didn't like. I mean, I do get it when people say Rhino was annoying, but it's
He serves
Rhino.
a
He's supposed
purpose.
to be to me. Rhino's supposed to be annoying, and that's that's awesome to me.
Here,
Um,
when I first heard about, well, when I first started seeing photos, I was like, how long I waited for them to finally release photos of Rhino, what it was gonna look like, and when I first seen it was like a metal suit, I was like, eh. But after time, I kind of got used to it and stuff, and the reason being is because if he was gonna be like, from the comics and stuff where he's like mutated like Goblin, it's gonna be like it feels like everybody's gonna be the same. I mean, you have Electro, he kind of is mutated with the eels and stuff, and then you have Goblin who's mutated. So I would start to feel like it's gonna be like everybody is the same way. So with the suit and stuff, I like it. It's something different.
Yeah. Another thing about Goblin is, real quick, the suit enhances his abilities or whatever. Like he's like, you even see his freaking pupils change whenever he got into the suit or whatever. Like
Yep,
it
that's
attaches
true.
to him, like, and as a part of him. I really like that. All the villains are going to be hard to kill.
Yeah.
Rhino, like him being big like that in a mech suit, that's going to be tough. I was wondering though, why couldn't the cops just shoot into the face hole? Like they could have just like
I
just
don't
kill
know.
him already, but they have to build it up. But that last scene or whatever, I really wish, honestly, I wish they wouldn't have shown that, like him knocking all the missiles away in the trailer, because that just like I knew what he was gonna do, and then I knew like it was gonna go black.
It
So
was still
that
awesome
was,
to see it though.
yeah, it was still awesome to see, definitely.
Hmm.
Wow, there's like even more stuff to talk about, but we'd
Yeah,
be
like
here all
little itty
night.
bitty things and stuff,
We'd be here all
But
night.
well, let's just go this and there and stuff. Like how what's it called? When I thought it was badass when Electro, Harry comes to break Electro free from his prison, or from his, like when the scientists. Okay, I'm gonna be serious here. When that scientist that was working on, like, him and Electro was talking to through the whole movie and stuff,
Yeah,
the one that was doing what was it, like the research on Electro. Well,
exactly.
in my theory, I actually, it's not going to happen now, of course, because the scientist died. Electro basically threw him like in that chamber and stuff, like Electro was. But in my theory, I honestly thought when I first seen the movie, I thought that, okay, that he has the accent. I was like, okay, and he's a doctor. This could be our Doctor Octopus right here. That
Yeah,
was me.
you got a
I
point.
just thought maybe, but they killed him off and stuff.
I don't know though. Like something tells me that like that little like lock-in chamber thing that they had him attached to. Like I was wondering, like how did Electro not drown? Like in that when they put him in water, unless it has something to do with that like seat or whatever keeps you like keeps I don't know keeps you breathing or whatever. So I was thinking for a second there, like the scientist, like that was rather him, like they lower him into that and he drowns, or he actually is just, well, just trapped there, but he can breathe. But if he can, I mean, yeah, you got a Doc Ock, and I mean, and he was funny. He was freaking listening to whatever that was after
Yeah.
like whenever he lowered him out or whatever. And also loved that Electro like had his own soundtrack every time he was on screen. They had
Oh,
like
I
dubstep
love
and
that
stuff.
dubstep, but
I
whatever that
loved
was
that,
called.
and
Yeah,
the
that was
music
awesome.
completely changed to something else for Goblin, and I want that to be something that they do in all of them, like keep have like certain themes for every villain,
Hmm.
maybe have like when they're all maybe like Rhino, Green Goblin, and another villain are all on screen together fighting Spider-Man, like mix it or something. Something
Remix kind of thing, yeah.
that'd be pretty sick. With modern music now, they could do a lot of cool things, and the soundtrack was just great.
Oh, it was.
Um, the what was I posted it earlier on Facebook. Honest, like that song, it's a
By
great song.
Neighbors? Yeah.
It's a really great song, and I noticed some things about it, like the word "amazing" is said in it a lot, and in Neighborhood Spider-Man, I just like I don't know, I know that's just like that's
It,
probably just me picking stuff out, but I was just like, I think they did that for that reason, and supposedly if you Shazam like the on your phone at the end, you can get all the
yeah,
like
I seen that on
secrets or
AMC
whatever.
Movie News.
It's crazy.
Let's
Anyway, there's a lot. There's still even, there's so much you can go into.
well, let's just
Movie
throw
has
that.
a
Let's
lot
talk
going
about that
for
if
it.
you want.
Do what?
Let's talk about it if you want. Seeing we're on the spoilers talk, is that yeah, if you do that whole Shazam on your phone, the app or whatever. Well, I seen on AMC. Well, I seen it leaked. The photos leaked. And I was watching different videos and stuff. But yeah, I seen it leaked on AMC. Movie news and stuff like that. And they were discussing that. Well, obviously, you got Rhino's horn, you got Goblin's glider, you got Doc Ock's tentacles, Vulture's wings, and then the last two things are like a kind of like They were trying to discuss maybe that's maybe one of those things that's supposed to be Black Cat, or we got maybe Kraven the Hunter, and then the other one that people are deciding what it's going to be. We'll find out. I'm really just pumped, you know, and excited, you know, for what when they do reveal it, like who are going to be our 6 villains. We already know like pretty much the 5 of the 6 and stuff, but or maybe I could say 4 of the 6, but the face, the whatever, the mask, it's either going to be Chameleon or Mysterio, but I'm leaning more towards Mysterio because I'm a big Mysterio fan. I like to see him on the big screen, see what they could do with his character.
Yeah. See what we can do with that. I'd prefer different, you know, like there's. I would just prefer like all my favorite 6 villains or something, but you know you can only dream.
Which are what
so
are they?
so there's probably going to be a couple that are not so my favorite. I mean, I've never really cared for Mysterio or Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man, but I'm just really hoping that the final I really hope that they really lead up by Amazing Spider-Man 4 that they, you know, like the last battle would rather be Carnage or Venom, something like that. I don't know if they're gonna. They probably won't do the black suit story again. They might. I think the suit will look really cool now because they'll probably go with the classic, plain black, which would be nice.
Which they should do with Venom too.
Yes, and make him big, and that's another thing. Like, who's going to be if it's going to be rather Flash Thompson or Eddie Brock? You already got Flash Thompson in the first one, the jock guy.
Yeah.
I think right there. I mean, and he's big or whatever. So there you go.
Well, down the road, I don't know if you heard, there was talks of I don't know, like a few months ago, like late last year, there was talks of possibly Jim Carrey taking the role as Carnage, which I think Jim Carrey's character could work for Carnage.
Yeah, I don't know about that right now. I mean, like I don't know. I get same thing with Paul Giamatti. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things you can't take him seriously, and I don't think I could with Jim Carrey either. But in the late '90s
acting to him somewhat, you know what I mean? It could be funny and creepy.
The '90s Amazing Spider-Man cartoon series, I forgot Carnage's original name, like what's his name?
Oh my God, yeah,
he's a serial killer, and they have to make it really dark with that too. And honestly, just with him, yeah, Jim Carrey would fit that version of his character, but I don't know if they'll go that route. I mean, he's got to be like nutty and all that stuff, but I just don't know. Jim Carrey could pull it off.
We'll have to wait and see, you know. Still, who knows if Carnage is even going to be in the movie.
Maybe not. But honestly, I mean, just truly honestly, like I would just prefer Venom if we could get a fresh Venom. We just need to get the stench off our tongues from Spider-Man 3.
Well, we are gonna get a Venom with that spin-off movie, you know. So
yeah, and
I hope they nail it. I think they will.
Really, really exciting stuff, and they're already holding the freaking symbiote, you know, in the Scorp. You know they are. You know, there's probably this little tiny thing squirming around in a little, I don't know, where it's just ready to be attached to somebody. So
of course they are, yeah. And well, let me ask you a question here: for the Sinister Six field, who are what 6 villains do you want to see if it was your choice?
Like I said, I would like to see Venom, and speaking of Venom, if they do Carnage, I want to see a Peter Parker teaming up with Venom, and that's they make a deal so that they can kill Carnage because he's the most powerful, or something like that. But yeah, I like to see Venom in it. I mean, we've already got. I mean, I'm just gonna name the ones we already have, and then because those all are awesome. Like I'm loving Vulture, Doc Ock. We don't know yet. I don't want Black Cat to be a part of it. I mean, I don't know if she was ever a part of the Sinister Six in the comics, but I really hope she's just.
Spidey. I know that.
I hope she's just a side annoyance because she's annoying. She's gonna
just up with Spidey, so here and there.
She's gonna be probably wrapping him up in wires or whatever, and it's and we've already got Felicia.
I don't want the Kraven, that's for sure.
Yeah, Kraven. I don't know if Shocker. There was already that little Daily Bugle news thing online of in between Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, he actually fights Shocker. And I was just like, that's pretty interesting. Maybe he'll come back. I want to see Shocker. He's just amazing. I mean, we already
I
got
want to see
an
Scorpion.
electric-powered villain, but I think Shocker would still be different. Um,
I want to see
let's see.
Scorpion on the big screen.
Yeah, Scorpion would be pretty cool. I don't know, like Venom,
What about
Shocker.
Morbius?
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know, man. There's just so many.
Endless
There's so
villains.
many.
Yeah.
There's so many. Anyway, like we get so sidetracked.
Well, we're
But
nerding it
yeah,
out
like
over.
yeah, if I could talk about Spider-Man stuff all freaking night, but you know. All right, so I think that wraps up our spoiler conversation, which wraps up the entire review. Like anybody that
Yep.
watched, would definitely appreciate it. I think I could have been a little bit more professional. I should have wrote some stuff down, but like, because I mean, honestly, it's such a big. It's a movie that has so much going for it that being a bit more organized would have been better. But hey, whatever.
It's more fun just coming popping things out of your
Yeah,
brain.
just popping things out. Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're gonna have one of these up for Godzilla, especially.
Yep.
Probably a little bit earlier. Maybe try to get it out on release day. That way, it's
Maybe.
like among the in the search
Yeah. Engine. Yeah.
radius or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thanks for watching. Freaking check out both of our channels
Yep.
for sure. I don't know. I literally am horrible at outros. Like, I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
It's a simple peace out for me. That's all I got.
But yeah, and we're gonna be like throwing up like these pretty sick poster pictures for any review that we do, which I think is a nice touch because I was wondering like if we were gonna throw up like just some like I was wondering if you could just have like a picture up on the screen or whatever, but I don't think you can. So I was just like this is a nice touch, and I like both of these.
Yeah.
This looks really nice,
They
and
do.
Godzilla should be interesting too. I'm gonna have fun trying to pick out mine. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Definitely go see Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's definitely worth checking out. And rather if you just want to see a good superhero movie, just go see it. It's great.
Yep. That's true.
That's true.
I'm running out of
No
things to say.
pressure at all, Tony.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will be seeing you guys in the future at some point.
Yes, we will.
You'll be hearing our voices at some point. All right.